Welcome. You're watching The Big Question with me, Tamanna Inamdar. As Donald Trump settles in as the 47th US president, and what a settling it has been so far, all eyes are on what Trump 2.0 might mean for India-US relations. A visit possibly by Prime Minister Modi to Washington in February has set the stage for high-stakes diplomacy. In the first Modi-Trump era, the leaders enjoyed a warm relationship with the Howdy Modi rally in Houston and the Namaste Trump spectacle in Ahmedabad, apart from key defense collaborations and a boost in trade ties. This time round, the leaders held their first telephonic conversation earlier this week. It was the first direct exchange since Trump took oath as the president. Terming the call as productive, Trump said that Modi is expected to visit the United States next month. There has been no confirmation on this from the Indian side yet. But if the meeting does happen, Prime Minister Modi will be one of the first leaders that Trump will host, underscoring the importance and priority that US attaches to India. In fact, in a post on X, Prime Minister Modi also said that both sides are committed to a mutually beneficial and trusted partnership. The possibility of this high-stakes diplomatic event comes at a time when Trump has not minced words when it comes to tariffs all around the world and even on India. He's also called India the tariff king, tariff abusers, and tremendous tariff maker. Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on Indian imports as well. He's also targeted India along with other BRICS nations, saying that he could impose up to 100% tariffs if they were to continue with their de-dollarization efforts. Now, in an effort to combat Trump's tariff threat, India could be, and this is news exclusive on NDTV Profit, reviewing the custom duty on certain high-end products from the USA. In fact, this decision could come on the 1st of Feb with the budget that will be announced. We could slash custom duties on 7 to 8 high-end imported items, including bikes, electronics, and others. So this becomes a strategic move ahead of the crucial Modi-Trump meet. The other big issue, of course, between India and the US remains immigration, a hot-button issue. Following a phone call between the two leaders, Trump expressed confidence that Prime Minister Modi will do what is right when it comes to dealing with illegal immigrants, underlining that discussions are ongoing with India on the matter. In fact, just last week, according to reports, India and the US had identified around 18,000 Indians who are in the US illegally. Foreign Minister Jaishankar, who has already met the newly appointed US Secretary of State, said that India is open to taking back its illegal immigrants. Beyond trade and immigration, defense cooperation is poised to be a cornerstone of discussions. From fighter jets to missile systems, multi-billion-dollar deals could strengthen India's military capabilities while cementing US interests in the Indo-Pacific, where it hopes to counter China. It is also set to host the Quad leaders later this year. In fact, as per the White House statement that was issued following the phone call, President Trump said that India should look at buying more American security equipment to make the bilateral trade ties equitable. So clearly, a lot more that will be seen in the next 4 years between India and the US. But the important bit is, as we set the stage for a Trump 2.0, the world is figuring out what a Trump 2.0 means. What can India expect from Trump, and what can we expect from the Modi-Trump meet if and when it takes place, and definitely in Feb. To speak on this, I'm joined today by Jayant Krishna, Senior Fellow, Center for Strategic and International Studies, Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat, joining us on the show, Mr. Shashank, former Foreign Secretary of India, also joining us on the show. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today. Ambassador Sajjanhar, let me come to you first on, sort of setting the context. So far, the belief has been that Trump is good for India. The Trump-Modi bonhomie will take us through. But from what we've heard from POTUS, from President of the United States in the last few days, what is the sense of what India can expect?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tamanna. And I would tend to agree with that general sentiment. At the macro level, we can expect better relations between the two countries. We can expect continuity as far as our ties are concerned. We've seen over the last 25 years, since the visit of President Bill Clinton to India in March 2000, our relations have continued to soar. The trajectory has been upwards, irrespective of which president has been in the White House or which party has controlled the Congress in the United States. Our relations have gone up. There is a bipartisan consensus in the United States, as there is indeed in India. So I think relations at the general macro level are expected to grow. You have identified several of the issues, on the bilateral front. So whether it is, the illegal migration, that we have stated very categorically that once those individuals are identified as being Indian, that there is no doubt about that. We have no problems in accepting them, because we are not in the business of promoting illegal migration, not to the United States, not to any other country. And this deportation has been taking place in the past also. It will not be the first time. So we are quite okay with all of that. And as far as H-1B visas, we have seen whether it is Donald Trump or Elon Musk, they have voiced their support for legal migration. That is what India has been working towards. As far as trade issues are concerned, I think we are quite prepared for it. We know that, the bilateral trade surplus in favor of India, that has gone up since Trump was in the White House last. But we are quite prepared for that, to see what are the items which we can import. More defense. Last time I remember, we had taken more aircrafts, we had taken more LNG and gas from the United States. Today, our economy is bigger, so I think we have a greater capacity to be able to absorb all these greater imports. So I think if you look at technology, if you look at defense, if you look at the geopolitics, I think that is going to be a very important element. The next Quad summit to take place in India, the first Quad foreign ministers meeting having taken place, I think we'll really need to watch the US-China bilateral relation, that space, very carefully, because we've seen that Trump has been sending some sort of mixed signals on that front. But that having been said, my final comment, Tamanna, would be that he's looking for a good deal with China on trade, as he was able to do in his first term. But as far as the geostrategic aspects are concerned, China will continue to be a strategic competitor for the United States. So I think that is a space on which India and the United States will continue to work together, to collaborate, and that will be one area, in addition to the bilateral aspects of our relations,
sure,
which will keep us together.
My question is exactly how, and let me come to Ambassador Shashank on this. From everything that President Trump has said so far, and he's mincing no words on Canada, on Mexico. They've reiterated that they will go ahead and impose tariffs on the 1st of February. We saw what happened with Colombia, and that whole story played out in a matter of hours. There's relatively a go-slow on China, even after DeepSeek, etc. How are you reading this, Ambassador Shashank?
Well, definitely the first priority for the second Trump administration would be domestic, to take care of people who are running after Trump and his colleagues and trying to put them in jail. So that will be his first priority. Second one would be, of course, among the neighboring countries from where illegal migrants had been streaming in large numbers, and some of these states in the USA had apparently decided not to accept any identity documents if they were to vote by mail. And also the fentanyl and other drugs which are being smuggled into USA from the neighboring countries. So that will remain the second priority for them. As regards the countries like China and India, I think we are in the Asian broader policy, which will be kept in mind by the Trump administration. China has, of course, already opened its cards to some extent by announcing on 20th January a new ChatGPT counterpart, which has tanked the American stock market by about $1 trillion to show its capability that, yes, it's willing to do business with America. I think India has not done in that context, what India has done in the sense that we have been able to dock 2 of our satellites, and we have launched our 100th satellite recently. So we have shown our scientific and technical capabilities that we are ready to absorb the American security-related technology and to make sure that it benefits the Indian people, and also it will benefit the Americans also and the Western countries. So I think that is the kind of signaling which has gone on both sides. I don't think India will refuse to accept illegal migrants, its migrants, if they can identify that they are Indian citizens went from India. But if they went from any third country into USA, like smuggling, which is being done whether from Canada or from UK or others, many of those people are anti-India also. So I think India may not be able to accept those people who have already renounced their Indian citizenship and are citizens or refugees in some other countries and have smuggled themselves into USA. Also, we have been negotiating in WTO and many other international forums about the movement of professionals. So therefore, why should we do that if we were trying to do what Bangladesh does into India or Pakistan does into so many other countries, pushing their people into neighboring countries elsewhere, whether for terrorism or other criminal activities? No, we are totally opposed to it. In fact, I remember having been in some migration-related conferences at the UN level, where we found that USA and we were perhaps the two countries always on the same side. We wanted to push out the illegals and keep only legal migration in. So I think we may have to negotiate further with the Americans to make sure that legal migration is done.
To my mind, illegal immigration is not an issue as far as India is concerned. We are not, excited about exporting people illegally to the US. Makes no sense to us. Even the whole birthright citizenship changes impacts, if it does, a small number of people, not something that India is geopolitically bent up about. The question really is on tariffs. And let me come to Jayant Krishna on this. And Mr. Krishna, if I can have your comment on the exclusive story that NDTV Profit is reporting as well, that we could expect a drop on custom duties in the budget on 7 to 8 high-end imported items and from the US. It's a gesture, isn't it?
No, Tamanna, I mean, if this news is correct, that in the budget there'll be some import duty reduction items, products which are of interest to America, to the US for export to India, I think it'll be a step in the right direction because, see, that is what negotiations are all about, give and take, and if when Prime Minister Modi goes there, and obviously tariff issues, import duty will come a big time. So if he starts the dialogue saying that, look here, we have reduced the import duty on as many products that we import from the US, then obviously any reciprocal duty or any US import duty for import of Indian goods, I think, the kind of posturing which was done during the campaign and even after his swearing in, what President Trump has said, perhaps I think India would be in a position of strength to negotiate that issue. So I think fundamentally, Tamanna, if you look at US-India relationship has started warming up almost 2.5 decades ago. And irrespective of who has been the president in the US and who has been the prime minister in India, it started during Vajpayee's time, then Dr. Manmohan Singh's time, it got further strengthened, and then again with Prime Minister Modi. So I think it has always been good. But the only issue today is that, such a warmed up relationship, will it get firewalled by, the tariff issues, visa issues? So I think the last thing to my mind, which US should do is to weaponize it, using the tariff route, and especially as we all know that, the order of magnitude of trade between the two countries is almost close to $200 billion. And, there's a trade surplus in favor of India, which means that India exports more to the US and vis-a-vis what it
Trump doesn't like that, though. President Trump doesn't like that. Right?
Yeah,
the plan is Make in America. We are an export-heavy trade. The trade balance is in our favor as far as US and India is concerned. I'm just wondering, in that negotiation, because everything with President Trump is a negotiation, what are the rules of engagement as far as India is concerned? What do we want and what can we offer?
See, I think it's more of a give and take to my mind. I mean, as I've always been saying, in today's day and age, in today's world, countries don't necessarily get what they deserve. They get what they negotiate. So I think some of the finished goods that India imports from the US, be it the computers, be it the heavy machinery, be it the pharmaceutical machinery, and some of the pharmaceutical products or ingredients. I think. These computer hardware, the medical equipment, that aircrafts that we import from the US, I think, there could be some posturing on that. And that could become a prelude for a give and take kind of a thing, when the US has to decide import duty on the goods that they import from India. I think that's one thing. And second thing to my mind is something that bothers me quite a lot is the immigration, and I'm not talking about illegal immigration, because India has never supported illegal immigration to the US or any other country for that matter. The External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has very clearly talked about that we are prepared to take some 18,000 people who have been identified, Indians who have crossed the borders either from Canada or from Mexico, and they live there. They're prepared to take back. Of course, there'll be technical issues if they have ceased to be Indian nationals. Then what is to be done? But obviously, but H-1B visa is one issue to my mind. I think India has to tread very carefully and negotiate. With all the tools in its hands. It's important. And a good thing is President Trump started with the H-1B visa getting scrapped in the campaign. Then he finally said it's not all that bad a thing.
True. And the fact is that if the Feb meet goes ahead as is being talked about, Prime Minister Modi will be the first, foreign leader to meet with President Trump.
Absolutely.
Our External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, was there. There's already been that conversation on. And the role of Indian origin people in Trump's entire campaign is outsized, I would say, compared to what we've seen recently in American politics. But I want to come back to the trade question. And Ambassador Sajanhar, from our point of view, the one big ask from America has been transfer of technology. Where do we stand there?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. And I think we made considerable progress during the Biden administration, whether it is, on ISET, the initiative on critical and emerging technologies, whether it is in terms of investments in India for manufacture of semiconductor chips, whether it is also in the area of defense, the transfer of technology as far as the GEF 414 engines are concerned. So I think we have made considerable progress in that area, whether it is in the field of space also. We have, there has been good cooperation. I think the challenge there, if I could put it that way, although I think the possibilities look very promising, is to continue that cooperation. And I know that, both Mike Waltz and Jake Sullivan, they have been together, and they've been exchanging notes, and whatever their otherwise their views on in the polarized setup in the United States might be on one issue, that is on relations with India, both of them are on the same page. So I do feel that this particular aspect will be taken forward, and of course, Mr. Trump has been calling for not near-shoring or friend-shoring, but for shoring within the United States. But I think even he would find it, tempting and useful that India is, becomes a stronger player and a stronger partner, because India is about the only partner and player in Asia which can cooperate, which can collaborate. It is not asking for the US umbrella as far as defense is concerned. We are willing to work on our own. So I think that cooperation is a very strong cooperation. On the area of trade, if you permit, Tamanna, one word. I think if India were to make these changes in terms of bringing down tariffs and bringing down import duties for products from the United States or elsewhere, I
Right.
think it will be beneficial for us ourselves because everyone has been talking. You speak to the IMF, you speak to the World Bank, everyone is saying that India needs to bring its tariffs down, and India's tariffs have been going up in recent years. And I think that would be, maybe it will be done as a result of the external pressure, but I think it will stand
No,
India
but
in good stead going forward.
just to clarify, what we're also learning is that these duty cuts will not come at the cost of domestic manufacturing. Remember, that's one big push that we need to make. Just your view, Ambassador Shashank, on the question of what is the biggest point that we bring to the negotiating table, and when Trump speaks, and sometimes quite loosely and broadly, on tariffs, how should India look at it?
It's very simple because Trump wants tariffs to be reduced, more exports to take place from USA to its partner countries. Also, they don't want illegal migrants. So what they have to do is to have a very good relationship with India, whereby their technology, their investments in India can help prepare Atmanirbharta campaign of India, and they can produce goods in India with the Indian technical manpower, which is of the highest quality, and they don't expect the kind of American wages in India. So I think therefore then they can produce them, use them for India and for the United States. It will help to some extent in balancing the trade. But of course, when we reduce the tariffs on our side, it will be difficult for us to do it specifically only for USA unless it's a reciprocal measure. Because as members of WTO, we are supposed to reduce the duties for all countries with whom we import or export goods. So therefore, that point has to be kept in mind. But I'm quite sure that there are ways during the course of negotiations, our experts of the two countries, they have worked together over a long period of time, and we should be able to work it out. The only thing is that when there's a transfer of technology or any investment, we would like to see that it takes place according to the time schedules which are decided. And there are no undue delays. Otherwise, there is a kind of a feeling among the Indian people that there is a difference and there is a long distance between what you commit to achieve and then what actually is achieved in practical terms. So that's the only thing we have to keep in mind. The 414 engine Ambassador Sajana talked about have been delayed quite a bit, whether it's a company which could not produce it, whether it's a question of the parts which are not available from other regions. But that is the other thing which we have to keep in mind.
No, so will actually keeping the timelines in check is definitely important. Just Ambassador Sajjan, a quick word on, and we referred earlier to the impact of what China has done, the signals that China has shown with DeepSeek. This was definitely a signal, maybe in retaliation to what is happening with TikTok in the US or not. In this AI arms race, where does India stand as the US and China will be at loggerheads?
Yeah, I think India is, a trusted partner for the United States. I'll put it this way, because this is also, the phrase that Prime Minister Modi has used in his own, X message. But as far as, India has also shown its technological prowess, whether it is in terms of the digital public infrastructure, reaching out in terms of financial inclusion, in terms of involving people in this, in terms of our landing of, the Chandrayaan on the southern side, on the dark side of the moon, the only country having done that. So I think India has also shown its own prowess in a variety of ways, and as a suitable partner as far as the United States is concerned. And in terms of, as I mentioned, about manufacturing of chips and many of the other elements, it can be a partner as far as the United States is concerned.
Right.
So definitely India brings a great deal to the table, not only in geopolitical terms, but also in technological and economic and commercial terms.
Right. Let's be honest. In the whole India-US-China equation, India is the more natural ally. How that goes forward is something that we'll all be watching very, very closely. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this edition of The Big Question. And to all of our viewers out there, do tell us what you think about the show, what you'd like to see us cover. We'll see you back here, same place, same time tomorrow.